When you see me, what do you see? Do you see a victor or do you see a victim? Because when you look at me, you're looking at someone that was born 7 February of 1961 in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia, in a blacks-only hospital. My father was born in 1920 in South Georgia. My mother was born in 1931 in South Georgia. They weren't victims. They taught me to be proud. At the age of 15, my dad challenged me to be the first officer in the family. Because my dad was just a simple corporal. United States Army. Served in World War II at a time when this country did not look upon him as an equal, did not afford him all the rights and privileges it did others. He inspired my older brother to be the black sheep of the family. He was a Marine. But he also served in Vietnam, only as a lance corporal. See, Reggie, you got a choice in life. You can either choose to be a victor or you can choose to be a victim. My mother taught me that the measure of a man is not how many times you get knocked down, but it's how many times you get back up. And that, Nathan, is what makes America unique, unlike any other country in the world. Because when you come here, it's about your drive, your determination, your will to succeed and be all that you can be, which is the motto of the United States. My wife, Angela, her dad came here from Jamaica. He was in New York, and the man came up to him and asked him if he wanted to get a free haircut. Her dad said, yeah. Next thing you know, he was saying, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. He did 24 years in the United States Army, 2 tours of duty as an infantryman in Vietnam. And he raised an incredible bevy of kids. My wife is a naturalized American citizen with a dual degree, undergrad in marketing and finance, an MBA, and a PhD. She lowered her standards and dated me when I was just a stupid artillery captain, and she was a professor at Kansas State University. That's what America is all about. And with a good quality education, you can achieve whatever heights that you want. But if we start to listen to the soft bigotry of low expectations of the left, if we start allowing them to have that platform that says you cannot achieve an American dream, all you can be is a victim. If we continue to allow them to shame our white brothers and sisters and believing that somehow you're racist, give me a doggone break. The Republican Party of Texas was founded on Independence Day of 1867 by 150 black men. At the same time, their party was creating a group called the Ku Klux Klan, trying to keep those black men from voting as Republicans. And some things do not change. Once upon a time, it was their side that said to black children that you can't come in through these doors of education. Now that exact same party is saying to black kids, you can't get out of the doors of these failing schools, where we are not trying to teach you and educate you, we're trying to indoctrinate you. As a matter of fact, their nominee for President, Joe Biden, has already come out and said he's going to get rid of charter schools, to force more kids into that failing mill of indoctrination. And don't think that you are inoculated from it. What the left understands is they will come into any strong, successful conservative state, and they will take over the major population centers. California used to be a red state. Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado. In 2019, they flipped Virginia with only 4 counties. And now they're here in Texas. Every major population center in Texas. And now they're spreading out to the suburbs. But thanks be to God that you're all standing up and fighting. That you're standing up and pushing back. Because the most important investment that we make, the greatest thing that we have to pass on, is freedom, liberty to our children and grandchildren. It's not about what you do and what you achieve in your life. It's about what that simple man, Herman West Sr. and Elizabeth Thomas West, were able to pass on to me. It's about what Ronald Keith Graham and Patricia Graham were able to pass on to their daughter, Dr. Angela Graham West. That is the measure of success for each and every one of them. But if you allow the left to come in and do what they always do, and I got to tell you something, Lee, I didn't know about this. The shame that you have 2 school board races that are going to be uncontested. The most important elected position in the United States of America is school board. The next most important elected position in the United States of America is city council. Because as Tim O'Neill once said, all politics are local. And if you're not following along with Proverbs 22:6 said, train up your child in the way that they should go, so when they grow old, they shall not depart from it. If you're not investing in making sure that your children are getting a quality education instead of an indoctrination, and the way that that continues on, if we don't get control of these school boards, the left is very strategic in what they are doing. See, the left does not believe in the 3 branches of government. As a matter of fact, they don't even teach civics anymore so that people understand the 3 branches of government. They believe in the 3 branches of rule. And how do you attain rule in a constitutional republic? How do you change a constitutional republic, fundamentally transform it into something else? You control the media. Am I right, David? Then you control academia. And then you control the courts. And Lee was absolutely right. Just 2 years ago, we got bushwhacked between Dallas and Harris County. Almost 59 judges. Guess what is up for election in this election cycle? 4 state Supreme Court positions. What will Texas look like if our state Supreme Court is controlled by liberal progressive socialists? We have 3 Court of Appeals positions that are open in this election cycle. What will it look like if those positions go to the progressive socialist left? Right now, even in Texas, you will not get any type of legal relief until you go to the 5th Circuit Court of Appeals. Because they have come into Texas and completely taken over the court system. Because we don't have that strategic mentality. We don't understand. And here they are, knocking on the door of Tarrant County. I know the head of the Tarrant County Democrat Party. And she is just all smiles thinking that she's going to just run over Tarrant County. But let me tell you something. If you can find it in yourself, your courage, your commitment, your conviction, and your character to make a stand. Texas got started because men and women didn't run away. 183 stood at a place called the Alamo. A 26-year-old wrote a letter from the Alamo. He said he would not surrender, he would not retreat. Poor, starving Texans charged the battlefield at San Jacinto on April the 21st of 1836. And in 18 minutes, they made it possible for that flag right there. And that Lone Star that we take a pledge of allegiance to, no other state has a pledge of allegiance than the state of Texas. No other state on its own fought for its independence like the state of Texas. That's why the Lone Star illuminates the other 49. But if you don't understand what's at stake, especially in North Texas, they only need 9 state house seats to flip the Texas State House. But with redistricting coming up, if they get to draw the lines and they own the courts, Katie barred the door. That's what's at stake. Every single one of those state house seats that are in jeopardy are located where? In North Texas. Because of the influx of people from California, Illinois, New York, and New Jersey that did not understand the lesson that God told Lot when he was destroying Sodom and Gomorrah. One thing he said: don't look back. Don't look back. When you have these neighbors and friends of yours that are coming from these places, you need to go up to them, Tim, with a nice smile on your face. Maybe bring them a pecan pie. We say pecan on the other side of Mississippi. I don't know where y'all got that pecan from. Your granddad used to tell me to climb up that pecan tree and pick some pecans. We'll go over to their house with some pecan pie. look at them eyeball to eyeball, and say, welcome to Texas. Welcome to South Lake. Now, why are you here? If you are here to be a part of this great state, its history, its legacy, if you are here to be a part of the state that has the 10th largest economy in the world, if you are here to be a part of a state that has 10% of Fortune 500 businesses and corporations, welcome on in. If you're here to be a part of the state that made the United States of America energy independent, a net exporter of energy resources, welcome on in. If you're here to be a part of the state that understands what the Second Amendment is all about, because as long as you're armed, you're a citizen. If you are disarmed, you're a subject. You can be here in Texas. If you don't understand that, go back to where you came from. Those knuckleheads out there want to have an exit tax. They want to tax people. I'm serious, man. That's how stupid they are. Not they're stuck on stupid. They want to tax people for leaving California. But get this, they want to do it for 10 years. Now, why would you leave a place like that? And then come here where there's growth, there's opportunity, there's promise, there's prosperity, and want to make it like that. Albert Einstein once said that the pure definition of insanity is to continue to do the exact same thing and think you're going to get different results. This is your time to take your place on the ramparts of the Alamo. This is your time to charge across the battlefield of San Jacinto. This is your time to say that we're not going to allow you to take over our schools. We want our kids educated, not indoctrinated. This is your time to say that we want judges that aren't activist judges, but we want good constitutional conservative judges that understand the rule of the law. Because if you don't stand with the rule of the law, then you're going to surrender to the rule of the mob, which is what you all see happening here in the South. When these Black Lives Matter people come up to you, just ask them one simple question. Which Black Lives Matter? The number one issue in the Black community today is fatherlessness. Even though I was born in a blacks-only hospital in 1961, a two-parent household in the Black community then was almost 78%. Today it's just 24%. Since Roe v. Wade in 1973, over 20 million Black babies have been murdered in the womb. Last year in the United States of America, only 9 unarmed Black men were shot by white police officers. You tell me where the genocide really is. Education opportunities, economic opportunities, those are the real issues. But when you have people saying that looting and rioting and things of this nature are a means for reparations, I don't need any reparations. All I asked for, Angela asked for, and what we have raised our daughters to understand is about an equality of opportunity. But if we're not careful, the other side will advance a principle, a belief, an ideology of equality of outcomes. That is not who we are in Texas. That is not who we are in America. You got to leave out of here today committed. And I think it is great that we're here in the house of worship. Because in 2016, 25 million Christians sat down. Let me repeat that. In 2016, 25 million Christians did not vote. And then you ask yourself, how did we get to the point in the United States of America where we can turn on the TV and we can see people burning Bibles, decapitating the statue of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? How can it be that on Easter Sunday, that the doors of our churches were closed but the Saturday night prior, you could go to a liquor store. How could it be that a church in Las Vegas had to go all the way to the Supreme Court? Because the government officials out there in Las Vegas said that a casino can have 50% occupancy, but a church can only have 50 congregants, which is a clear violation of the 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law, and the First Amendment, freedom of religion and the free exercise thereof. If we don't understand the separation of church and state is not anywhere in the Declaration of Independence, it is not anywhere in the United States Constitution. You can only find it in a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to the Danbury Baptist Convention, saying that in America we would not have a head of state who was also the head of church, which is the lesson that was learned from King Henry VIII when he created the Church of England. But the body of Christ has allowed the other side to tell us that separation of church and state means separating our Judeo-Christian faith heritage from the fabric, the foundation, and the very existence of this constitutional republic, which, if you read the Declaration of Independence, your inalienable rights don't come from man, don't come from government, they come from your creator God. So therefore, if your rights come from a sovereign God, that makes you sovereign. But we are dealing with secular humanists, we are dealing with people that don't understand and believe that. Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. I don't know how a Marxist organization has infiltrated the church, but we need pastors and we need Christians to stand up and speak out against that. Not often in life, Lee, do we get that opportunity to say that we're standing in the gap and we can make a difference. I don't see this as a dark moment. I see this as an opportunity. Let me close by telling you about my favorite American military hero. He was a simple man. He was a professor of rhetoric from Bowdoin College, Maine, not a military-trained officer. But he stepped down from his professorship at Bowdoin College, Maine, to go and fight because he believed in the cause of preserving the Union and defeating slavery. And because he was an educated man, they made him a lieutenant colonel. I'm glad I wasn't existing back then. They probably would have made me a lieutenant colonel back then. I probably would have had to work a little harder. But there he found himself in July of 1863. Command of the 20th. End of the line of the Army of the Potomac. 90,000 soldiers strong. The only thing that stood in the way of Robert E. Lee and the Army of Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C. He was told that as you are the end of the line, you cannot surrender, you cannot retreat this position, or else the entire Army of the Northern of the Potomac would be overrun. On the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg, Robert E. Lee chose John Bell Hood from Texas, the commander of his division, to attack that little round hill called Little Round Top. Through that day, that hot July day, casualties mounted. Chamberlain's 20th Maine Regiment ran out of ammunition. He could have surrendered, he could have retreated, but he understood his orders. Chamberlain issued a one-word order. Remember, not a military man, a professor of rhetoric. His one-word order had never been given in the Union Army at that time throughout the entire Civil War. He said bayonets. That little ragtag group of men who were still able to fight fixed bayonets. Chamberlain himself had been shot in the leg, but he refused to be carried off the battlefield. He drew his saber and he ordered charge down Little Round Top. And the Confederates of the 20th Alabama Regiment had never seen Union soldiers charge before. And he won the day. He saved the Army of the Potomac. He saved the Battle of Gettysburg. He saved this Union. A simple, ordinary man, a professor of rhetoric from Bowdoin College, Maine, did an extraordinary thing. He went on to be a recipient of the Medal of Honor. He was the man who led the honor guard at the surrender of the Confederacy at Appomattox. He went on to become a two-term governor of the state of Maine. on this day, you all as ordinary Texans, I call upon you to do an extraordinary thing. It may seem that the casualties are mounting. It may seem that you're running out of ammunition. But if you got it in your heart, you fix bayonets and you charge. And that's why we're going to run the progressive socialists the hell out of Texas. God bless you.